Good evening, everyone, and welcome to webinar 8 for the Sunshine Coast Level Up program. Tonight's topic is on automations, which is a personal favourite topic of mine. Tonight we're going to be covering all the basics of automations, including how to streamline your operations online using some of the automation tools and software available, which we'll learn more about. At a basic level, what automations are and the difference between automations and triggers, and also who uses them and does it well, and some of the cool uses, cool little syncs that you can create with automations, basically to create efficiencies in your business. We're also going to look at where to hunt for cool software to plug into your existing systems and create some automations of your own. So for those that are new to the webinar this evening, this is a Sunshine Coast Council initiative or funded program aimed at helping small and medium businesses, where possible, connect to the NBN, which is coming to the Sunshine Coast, or where the NBN is not available, to take advantage of faster internet. And in doing so, it'll allow you as a business to fully utilise some of the really amazing digital tools and technology that's available online in an effort to improve productivity, profitability, and general efficiencies in your business wherever possible. So this is me. My name's Katrina Lee, so you can call me Kat. My company is the Creative Collective. I'm a 50% partner in the Creative Collective. We're a full-service creative agency, but very much specialising in the digital space. So my background, I actually was on the Sunshine Coast myself, did my degree up there in basically design and communication. For the last sort of 12 or so years, I've very much worked across various different fields, both design, web development, crowdfunding. But today in our business, I very much take a lead on the operations side of things. So finance, logistics, and just general operations. So when it comes to automations, I love this topic. I've implemented a number of automations in our own business, which has created huge efficiencies and just really helped the way we work and, how quickly we can respond to people and our level of customer service and all sorts of cool things. So it's definitely a favorite of mine. I'm in really great company tonight with Heather Porter, and she has a string of amazing credentials, which I'll let Heather take you through in a moment. But essentially, Heather is the founder of Autopilot. This is very much her domain, the topic of automations. She's the author of a #1 Amazon bestseller, which is pretty cool. Co-host to a podcast that, broadcasts across 100 countries and, has a range of cool credentials to boot. So over to you, Heather, to tell us a little bit more about your background and career.
Thank you, Kat. Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to be here with you. And Kat, I'm excited to be here with you too, because when you said to me you love automation, I feel like that we're going to be geeking out a little bit over this next hour. And like you said, you're going to jump in as well and kind of give your thoughts and your conversation as we go. So I think it's going to be a fantastic hour coming up for all of you guys. So as Kat was saying, look, in my previous life, I ran events for speakers like Tony Robbins. And so I was very much a systems girl. I had to run these huge, massive seminars. And around 2007, 2008, one of the speakers came to me and they said, hey, we heard about this thing called Facebook and we really want to take our tribe offline. We want to move them online. So that's how I got started really with the online space. I built a membership site and at launch we had 18,000 members. And can you just say I was bit very hard by the online marketing bug at that point. I was like, wow, you can have automation and tribes and membership sites. And I got very excited and that was my calling. And then from there started my Autopilot training company, which I teach automations. And like Kat was saying, I have books about business automation. I have podcasts and all sorts of little things. So thank you for that beautiful list that you put up on the screen to highlight some of my, the things that I do. And automation is brilliant because I think a lot of people think that it's techie. You need to be techie, but you don't at all. So what is automation? I love it. We have a few definitions here, and I'm just going to skip right down to the bottom and say this. In short, automations are designed to help you streamline your day-to-day tasks freeing up your time to focus on other activities. So you know what I want to do actually right now is I want to paint a picture for you guys. Before we get sort of into the apps and the things that you can actually do to automate your business, at the simplest level, I just want to paint a picture for you so you can really, truly understand how powerful this stuff is. So right now, most of us know that we need to be on social media. We need to be blogging or putting out some sort of content for our website, our newsletter, that sort of stuff online to actually promote ourselves and build rapport and relationships online. Now, one of the key things a lot of us struggle with is the time that we need to find to actually create that content and put that out online and to our tribes and build our, our business. So here's a really great example of how automation works at its simplest level. So for example, let's say you're going ahead and creating some content. Nowadays, what people do is they'll do what we call batch content creation. So you say you're a business, you go into the studio or you just simply sit down in front of your webcam, you record about 10 different quick little tutorials. From there, you can then schedule those on YouTube. So you can upload them to YouTube, schedule those to be, pre-published at a future date. You can then take the embed code, put those on your website. You can schedule your blog post to then be released at a future date. You can then write emails and schedule those to be released at a future date. All of that is automation. So you spend one day creating content, and then you basically create your videos on YouTube, your articles on your blog post, and your emails, all to be pre-released in the future. And by using systems to their full capability, you now have content that's going out all online, even using, social media automation tools that's marketing your business. And all you've done is spend a day or so creating that content. So really, that's how I look at it. And then it obviously gets way more exciting than that.
Absolutely. And if I could just interject there with our business and we're always talking to business owners, and what I find with small businesses and their marketing is they have such a, in many cases, I'm not saying everyone fits this description, but so many small businesses are wearing multiple different hats, and their approach to marketing is really ad hoc, that, they post something to social media or YouTube because they have that thought then and there, and, that they post it when they have 5 minutes, whereas taking a little bit more of a batch approach to content means that they have, this streamlined, bulk amount of content that's going to be drip fed out to their audience. And I think that's what's really cool because to the whole audience, it looks like, you're really active, you're really consistent, and you're always producing this amazing content.
Yeah, but you spend a day or two, maybe every quarter, So yeah, it's incredibly, incredibly powerful. But there's other things like on your screen, guys, you can see that, automations at work when you fill out an online form, right? So let's say somebody comes to your website, they're on the contact page, they fill out a form. Obviously that data from that form goes somewhere, maybe to you or somebody on your team. Your customers receive an automatic email when they subscribe to your mailing list. So some of you guys might have heard about funnels, sales funnels or lead generation funnels, something along those lines, right? So somebody signs up for something and then they get a series of autoresponder emails once they sign up. Your website notifies you if there's a new order or lead submitted. So you get a little task or some sort of alert saying, hey, guess what? You got a new lead. An online purchase has been shipped and you receive a shipping confirmation and a tracking number by email as well. That's all automated stuff. So if you look at automations, they essentially involve what we call triggers. So which when they occur, they solicit an action. So it's like, if this happens, then let's do this, right? So if somebody fills out a form, then let's email my team to tell them the form's been filled out. So automations versus triggers. What is a trigger? A trigger is any event that sets your automation in motion. So some examples of triggers include a new email in Gmail, a new web form submission, or a new note in, say, Evernote, for example. Then you have the action and the automation side of that. So that's the event that's completed in a second app automatically. So some examples of that are, appending text to a note in Evernote, adding a new spreadsheet row in a Google Doc, or creating a new lead or opportunity in your CRM. So the trigger happens, and then the action happens as a result of that trigger. And you're basically just setting that up as automation. You're basically saying, I want this to be the trigger and then this to be the action as a result. So let's move on from there.
Excellent. So guys, hit us with a task. What is a pain point in your business that if you could just, save 3 hours a week doing that task, it would have an amazing impact on your business. Or what task do you absolutely, your blood boils to do it. It's just that, that task that's so monotonous, and, you could think of 10 million other things you'd rather be doing. Perhaps there's an automation that you can implement to sort of take care of that task for you. So we'd love you to chat in and let us know if there's, something you'd like to do, but not quite sure how to do it. And we'll do our best to sort of have a bit of a discussion around that at the end.
Sounds really good. Brilliant. Because most people, I think most of us, when we're just getting started with automations, we actually don't realize what we can do. So I love that you asked that. That's perfect.
Absolutely.
All right. So types of automation software available to you guys. So the first one is Zapier. The second one, we're going to go through these as well, so you just understand them a little bit more in a moment. We have automate.io, IFTTT, which is if this, then that. That's what it stands for. Pisync, Microsoft Flow, and OneSaaS as well. So yes, love Zapier. Kelly, I love it as well. That's my favorite. What's your favorite, by the way, Kat?
Zapier, love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, we're totally on the same board. Brilliant.
Yeah, to be honest, now if I'm looking for a new system, let's say time tracking software or whatever it may be, I actually quite often will go to Zapier and see what systems sync with Zapier.
Yeah.
And that'll kind of be my go-to, they'll be my short list of where I look to first, because I know if they're an app available through Zapier, I can get them talking with a million other apps.
Yeah, brilliantly said. Exactly. So like me, that's kind of it's like the shopping list that you go, hey, what can I automate? Go there.
Yeah.
So a Zap is basically what Zapier has, which is a connection or integration between two or more apps that automates your task, right? So the Zap is the trigger. That's what we were saying about before. So it's like when this particular thing happens, then let's have the automation or the action take effect. So for something like that, what Zapier is great at is more of a business use focus, but it can be a little bit harder to master. There's over 500 apps and growing regularly, meaning there's so much you could do with it. You can free up, so for free, you get up to 5 Zaps and 100 tasks per month, or paid plans from only 20 US per month, which is what I have. I mean, you can do so much with just 20 US a month. All right. So what else do we have? Oh, I love this little movable graphic we have here. So if you're looking at your screen, what you're looking at is here in creating Zap, basically the types of apps that you can create. So it just gives you a whole list of them by the icon. So it's nice and easy to recognize, oh yeah, they use MailChimp or Entreport or Infusionsoft or, Google Docs or whatever it is. So it's much like that. It really is like a shopping list where you're like, cool, I'm going to start with this particular app. And then you move on from there and you create your triggers and your actions. And we'll show you a little bit about that more later as well. So if this, then that. So now what's in this particular program is called a recipe. So rather than a Zap, and here it's called a recipe. So it's nice and simple to use. You can also browse recipes made by other people, which is quite cool, and then just use them, plug and play them into your business. It does have an app, which is great. So you can use that on Android or iOS devices. It's more consumer focused and a bit easier to master. And at this point, there's around 367 or so online apps to connect. It's free, as we say here, forever. And it includes every social network you can imagine. So again, if you want this to happen in your business, then have this automation occur. Just kind of think of automation like that. That's how I learned it, Kat, is if this, then that, actually, which is what I love this is called. So you're constantly going, well, if this is happening in my business, then can I make an automation around that? And that's how you always think about automation, is if this is happening, if somebody's buying something, filling out a web form, making a phone call, if this thing is going on over here, what can I automate? What can I have happen to make my life easier to have automation in my business?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. So this is an example of if then that, IFTTT. And that's just basically a recipe on your screen there. And it's just showing you so similar sort of thing, right? So you're choosing that trigger channel. And then from there, let's say it's Gmail on the screen right there. And then from there, it's well, what do you want to have happen in Gmail? Do you get a new email? And then in this case, it was get a new attachment. And then what are you going to do with that attachment? We'll go ahead and plonk that in Dropbox. So somebody sends me an email in Gmail, they have an attachment. I send all my attachments into a particular folder in Dropbox. So that's what you're seeing on your screen there. That's what's being created. Pretty cool.
May I just interrupt for a moment?
Yeah.
He just said there's a few issues with the platform. So I'm not sure whether that's just Peter or whether everyone's having that issue. But rest assured, guys, we are recording this. I've also got a backup recording going. So if you've got any issues locally with sound or visuals, there will be a recording that will be available to everyone once the webinar is complete, probably, within the next 24 hours.
Brilliant. Good one. All right. So, okay, good. So we do have some good, Dean says good on his end. So that's great.
Cool.
So one SaaS. So we have, this is another tool that you guys can use. It is a bit smaller, so it has only 40 integrations to choose from. It is more expensive. It's a little bit more premium as well. So there's more hand-holding that happens there. So they used to provide assistance and build custom integrations, and they may still. It's worth questioning if you're struggling to really find software that works for you, or perhaps sort of an integration that you really want to have happen in your business. You might want to look at a company more like this that can develop something for you or handhold you through the process a bit more.
And like anything, I mean, as we go through all these different levels and these webinar topics, and we present everyone with a range of different tools in the marketplace. They all fulfill a purpose. There's a time and a place for all of them. So it really comes down to your business objectives, I guess, where you're at and what you're looking to do. Sometimes, the simplest solutions are a great starting point just to sort of play around and sort of experiment with some automations. But perhaps, if you've got more complex needs, going to a platform like OneSaaS or some other solutions, maybe more in line with what you're looking to achieve.
Yeah, brilliant. Perfect. Automate.io. So in this land, it's called the bot rather than the recipe or the zap. So basically, it offers more bang for your buck. It's a little lighter on the apps and allows you to create simple one-to-one integrations or multi-app workflows across multiple apps. So you can run tasks up to every 5 minutes as opposed to 15 minutes with some of the other tools. And it does only have 27 apps currently and 4 more coming soon. So it's a bit smaller, but more, I guess I'd call this, what would you say, Kat, a little bit more higher level automation because you can go multiple apps at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is sort of, like instead of just one trigger triggering one sort of automation, you could trigger multiple automations at the one time. I should mention that Zapier also has some of those capabilities as well. So you can actually build in, multi-steps. And just to give you an example of how we use that within our own business, when someone fills out an inquiry form on our website, that the first action within Zapier is it creates a customer record in our CRM. And then the second step that kicks in is it also then creates basically like a lead that our account managers pick up to call. And so that process for us has been amazing because it's relieved any data entry of getting a web form, manually typing it into a CRM. And then, the lag time between that process happening and the account manager having access to be able to call that prospect, that's been dramatically reduced. It's literally instantaneous. At the moment that web form's filled out, our account manager is basically pinged with all the relevant information they need to pick up the phone and call that person. So
amazing.
Bit of an example there for you.
Great, love it. Great example. Next one, we have Pisync. So keep your contacts in sync. Pisync keeps your contacts in sync between your favorite cloud apps, two-way and in real time. So 37 connections currently and about the same again in the pipeline, real time and no free plans. Now this is one I haven't actually used. Have you guys used that?
No, I haven't used this one. I suppose like Zapier, like I said, has always been my go-to, but it's not the only one in the market. And, I guess we always like to present all the ones available for everyone. And I suppose if anyone goes hunting, you'll probably discover that there's even more than what we're presenting tonight, but these are sort of the main ones. Just a couple of questions on chat while while I see them. Andrew said he wants to automatically SMS or email customers to confirm booking times. So Andrew, we might come back to that one once we kind of work through the rest of the slides. And if it hasn't been sort of covered off, we'll cover it off at the end. And Dean, he said, out of interest, which CRM do we use? So we actually use Prosperworks CRM, which has a direct sync with Gmail. So we all work out of Gmail. So there's this really amazing little add-on to Gmail. So we're basically, by emailing, we're working within our CRM. But there's so many different ones available, and you really need to do some due diligence. They all differ in price, capabilities. I would suggest, writing a bit of a wish list and then going investigating to see which one's going to tick those boxes for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Microsoft Flow. I love that. And always the last to the party, Microsoft. Flow is the new. That's so good. Flow is the newest automation tool in the block, and it's the most limited. It's a Microsoft product. So its strength is very much, with integration with the Microsoft apps. Works like IFTTT with two-step automation recipes, and they called theirs template. So it works with all the Microsoft suite like Office 365, OneDrive, SQL, and Outlook, etc. Yeah. All right. So let's look at some examples. So these are some potential zaps that you can set up inside of Zapier. So first one, and I've used this one a lot actually, add new WooCommerce orders to MailChimp list. So WooCommerce, guys, is a shopping cart plugin if you use WordPress. It's a full-on shopping cart that you can use on your WordPress site. So what happens there if you use, say, MailChimp, which is just an email program, like an email marketing program, you can set up a Zap where if somebody purchases something, they're automatically added to, say, a customer email list in your MailChimp. You can add new MailChimp subscribers from new contacts in Xero. So if you're using Xero as your bookkeeping and accounting software, if you have new contacts in Xero that you add, say a customer that comes on board, then you can add them to a MailChimp customer list. So you can then email them through your MailChimp. Another thing you could do, you could add new WordPress posts to Facebook with shortened URLs. So automatically you have your post going out in WordPress, and then it can post for you. Zapier can post for you on your Facebook as a social media update with a nice short little URL. You can create Xero bills for new Eventbrite attendees. So if you use Eventbrite as your event booking system online, you can automatically create some bills in your Xero account software, which is pretty cool. Some more, remind fans of upcoming Google Calendar events on your Facebook page. How cool is that? And you can pin your new Instagram posts on Pinterest. So this is some of the cool stuff it does with social media automation, where it really does the cross sort of promotion in between your different social accounts. You can copy new Google Drive files in any folder to Dropbox. You can create Prosperworks leads for new JotForm submissions. Now, I have to say, I have not used either of those, but it sounds very exciting.
So that's one of our ones. So we use JotForms. Our current website platform isn't on WordPress, and it's on Adobe Business Catalyst, which is a little bit more limited. We're looking at upgrading ourselves in the later part of the year. So we use a web form program called JotForms to collect any leads or contact inquiries through our website, and that deposits directly into Prosperworks. Andrew, in relation to your question about SMSs when people make bookings, we are going to do a bit of a live demo in Zapier, and Heather may have some experience on, particular ways that you could achieve that. So I'm very conscious of answering that question for you as well. But just on this point, Zapier alone has over 500 applications. So the combinations are exponential because each of those 500 apps can almost sync with each of the other 500 apps. So, the sky's the limit virtually on what you can achieve, so long as those apps are compatible with Zapier, if that's the platform you're using.
Yeah, and I already know that it does have a good one for SMS automation. So yeah, we might cover that when we do the demo. All right, some other ideas for you guys. With 500 plus apps, the opportunities are endless. Literally 100,000 syncs you can create with these apps. Now that spins your mind out, definitely, and it's exciting. You can share new content automatically to social media. You can deposit new web leads directly into your CRM. You can capture all your contacts into your email marketing list. You use delays to promote events, a certain number of days out from the actual event date. So you can have automated emails going out to people, reminding them of an event that's coming out, or SMS messages. You can create and nurture leads following events. So set up follow-ups in your CRM when someone registers for an event, sort of surveys or polls or all sorts of things you can do to check in with them after an event. You can build a list of influencers, save Twitter mentions to a Google spreadsheet so you can truly reach out to the right people that you're following on Twitter and build relationships that way. Just a few amazing ideas. And here's some more as well. You can add context to your CRM from new form submissions, purchases, emails, address book contacts, newsletter subscribers, business cards, event registrations, help desk tickets, database entries, or contacts in another CRM. So you can move around your contacts in any way, shape, or form that you want. You can trigger automation from your CRM system as well, including adding client emails to a mailing list, sending customers a welcome email, texting contacts. Yes, you can do that. Assigning yourself a task, creating custom documents, or sending an invoice. So pretty much anything that you can imagine, which is amazing.
Excellent.
Who uses it and who does it well? Yes, I know you do, Kat.
As do you. I'm really keen. I'm sure everyone's really curious to hear about some of the ways you use automations. I mean, I've barely touched the surface of automations, and this is very much, your area of expertise. So tell us about some of the things you do.
So look, it depends on in my business. So it's interesting. So it depends on the business that I'm working on or with. And in my business, I use my CRM system is Entreport, which is a huge automation engine in and of itself. So I've kind of used a CRM that has a lot of automation built into it. However, with some of the other websites I'm a part of that have shopping carts like WooCommerce, I use a great deal of automation through Zaps with that. So like we were showing you before, when we have a new order that comes in from WooCommerce, we do all sorts of crazy cool things with that new order. So we'll put them into MailChimp or maybe ActiveCampaign, which is another sort of email marketing CRM system. We also do a lot of membership automation. So if somebody buys, say, a subscription product or a membership through WooCommerce or through PayPal or wherever they're buying it from, then we actually can move them in and out of email lists based on if their payments default or not. So we can put them in hold lists. So a lot of the automations that I do, I guess, through my business is done through my CRM, but outside of that, a lot of it's done through e-commerce and membership sites. I do a great deal of automation using Zaps for that, which is really cool, because what this is showing and demonstrating, I think, to everybody is that you and I both use it extensively, but in a lot of different ways. And on the screen too, tell me a little bit more about what we're looking at there. Some ways that you're using it.
I don't know if anyone on the webinar tonight has experimented with Facebook lead ads. So lead ads are a particular type of ad type that you can run on Facebook. Now, the thing is with the Facebook leads is that basically you have to log into Facebook and download a spreadsheet. So you don't really get notified when someone actually fills out your lead form. And then, you get this clunky sort of spreadsheet. It's really not anything pretty to look at. And you're relying on downloading it, which, if you get busy or, you're out of the office for a day or whatever, a day in the realms of, getting back to a lead can be huge. It can be the difference between them going elsewhere or not. So through Zapier, you can actually sync Facebook so that when someone fills out your lead campaign on Facebook, it can deposit those details directly into your CRM. So again, that little leaf icon that you see there, that's the little icon for ProsperWorks, but you could easily interchange that for, Salesforce or HubSpot or, whatever sort of different CRM you're using, Sugar CRM, there's 10 million ones. This is just an example of how we use Zapier and some of the actual Zaps that we've got in place. Here are some other ones so that, when someone has inquired with us, we send them to a list on MailChimp. We've also got, this is another cool one. So again, it was just really frustrating that when we came to actually putting together a quote for a business, that we would then have to manually enter that business's details again in Xero, which is our accounting system we use for actually raising quotes. So again, we've got a trigger in place so that whenever a lead within our CRM, gets a status change to estimate to be raised, it takes that business's details and it populates it in Xero. So quite literally, our account manager changes that status, jumps into Xero, and that business is in there ready to go and ready to quote. So there's tons of other things you can do. Not all of these we've got active at the moment, but I guess it's just a little bit of insight into how we use it. And I mean, we're pretty transparent with this kind of stuff, but the sky's the limit. Like, you guys could use these automations in 10 million different ways. So keep those ideas coming on the chat. If there's something specific you want to do, pick our brain.
Yes, absolutely. And what I love what you said also about that is how you use it with Xero for your proposals and sort of changing that around, because I think for a lot of businesses, the whole proposal thing can be a real nightmare. So like create the proposals, making sure that they're followed up, making sure the team's alerted. And the way you're using it is brilliant, because really what you're doing is coming from that whole customer service aspect, and also your team. It's like taking better care of your team, but it's also taking better care of your customers. That's really what automation is all about. It's not to be sleazy. It's to actually really give amazing customer service and build an amazing team. So you're all on the same page.
For me, with our business, automations just means speeding things up. So from the time that someone interacts with our company in any way, shape or form, the faster we can get back to them. And in actual fact, there was an event I attended a little while ago now. It was like a Google event. And, someone from Google stood up on stage in front of, 1,000 businesses and said, the expectation when someone, say, makes an inquiry through Facebook or social media, the expectation is a response from you within hours. If they, likewise with live chat, they almost expect an instantaneous response. Web form even a little bit longer, but still, within probably 8 hours, and phone within that 8 hour period as well. So the way I see automations is just basically speeding up that process so that you can get back to people much faster.
Really cool. And so what do you do when your app is not supported? It's such a great photo or image. If the service or app you are using does not appear to be supported by any of the tools that we've shared in this session, don't worry, you can definitely still find help. There's this thing called API, which basically allows different apps to talk to each other. And you can find a developer that actually specializes in API integration, and they can actually create your own conversation between the apps, so to speak, with code. So they're usually bespoke and therefore obviously more costly, but they can be really valuable for those of you that can't find the right recipes or zaps to actually create what you need. You can still find people that are going to be able to code this and develop something for you should you need it. Really, the sky's the limit nowadays.
API development's great. For like industry or very niche software. So, where it's quite niche, and so it's not generally available through Zapier because, it appeals to a particular target market only, or a particular use. So that's, I find that that's usually the type of software that isn't already supported through the likes of, your Zapier or if this and that. And so that's where API integration might come in handy for your business. If you've got very niche software, like a very niche, point of sale system or something like that.
Yeah, perfect.
All right.
So live demo. Great. So I guess I'm going to share my screen for this one. So I'll go ahead and get that going right now. And what I'm going to do, guys, is just walk you through what it looks like inside of my account. And we'll just go shopping for new Zap together, and we'll go ahead and create that now. So my screen should be up on the screen now. Are you able to see that okay from your end?
I think I've just got an issue with my Crowdcast screen frozen. Let me just see. Oh, here we go. It's caught up. I think it's still got my screen on. Can you guys confirm that on chat?
It looks like it's both side by
I
side.
might just hide my screen, or I'll turn my screen share off. Sorry, bear with us.
Oh, good, you guys.
Let me try that.
Okay, all good. Looks to be good. So you guys should be seeing my screen right now. Yeah, cool. That's all great. Okay, perfect. All right, so what you're looking at here is when you have an account, you will log in and you basically have these little tabs up here. So this is just one of my multiple accounts that I have. We have Explore, we have Zaps. So you can actually see new Zaps you create here. You have Zaps, your current Zaps, task history, and connected accounts. So just walk through these really quickly. And we'll come back to this Explorer one in a moment. So basically in here, that's where you can make your Zap. Your Zap tag is where you actually see the different Zaps that you have. So this particular account that I have is very much geared at forms going into databases as well as WooCommerce, so orders that are being made. We have a task history, so things that have happened just in the last little while. I can see the different Zaps that are happening and firing off. And I have all my different connected accounts in here. So I sort of, these are the different programs that you use. So I have a MailChimp account in there. I have Ontraport. I have ActiveCampaign, ClickFunnels, gosh, all different types in there. Pocket, which is a way of storing information. Buffer, which is a social media app as well. So let's start with the Zap. And I'm going to start with an SMS Zap. Because I know that one of my most favorite SMS systems is in here called Burst SMS. Kat, have you ever used that as Burst SMS? It's pretty amazing. So I think she might be on mute because I can't hear her, but that's okay. So Burst SMS is an amazing one. So I know one of you guys was asking a question about that. Yay, Kelly used Burst. It's amazing for you guys that want to use SMS automation. It's unbelievable. So if we're looking here on the left-hand side where it says search for any app by name, what we want to do is, this is where we're picking that trigger. Remember we talked about that earlier, where we're sort of saying, if this happens, then I'm going to automate something over here on this side. So I know we had a question before that if somebody books in for an event, can we then send them an SMS? Or if they book in for, say, an appointment, can we then send them an SMS? So what we see here is we have sort by popular. So we have all the most popular different apps in here that you can look for, but you can also just do a search as well. So let's just say that we look in, there's a booking tool called Calendly. Let's see if that one comes up. There it is. So let's say that somebody books an appointment with us in Calendly, then we can send them SMS reminders through Burst SMS, right? So if they actually have an appointment with us there. I'm just going to double check we have any questions on that on the side. Cool. Come back to that in a moment, or Kat can come back to that as well. I'll just continue on. Okay, great. So here we go. So we have Calendly. So let's say we're going to go ahead and use that as the actual trigger point. So then from there, pick apps to explore workflow ideas. So I have Calendly down in there. Create, oh, look, I already have some other ones I have in there. So let me X out of these search ones. Here we go. So I have Calendly. So it's giving me popular Zaps for Calendly. It's sort of saying, okay, so you can create Asana tasks, Zoom meetings, you can create Slack chats, all sorts of things in here. So we're going to actually see if I can go ahead and instead do a Burst SMS that comes out from somebody that books in from Calendly, right? So let's go in. Let's see if there's any more. Actually, let's do this. I'm looking for one that's already existing to see if we can go in from that way. Look at that. They keep coming up. Look at that. More and more and more. So see how unlimited this is, you guys? It's amazing. Like you can do, go to meetings, crazy, Slack, all sorts of things. Wow. Amazing. Okay. So at this point, what I'd have to do is I'd go in and I'd connect my account. And then I would basically go into my Calendly account here and connect that, which I'm not going to do because it'll just take a little while with you guys. But you would essentially connect your account, and then now you're going to be able to go in and create a Zap with that particular app. And then as you go through that process, you would then connect your Burst SMS account as well. So I'm going to go back to some accounts that I already have active in this Zapier account right here. And what we'll do is we'll search by, let's go into Active Campaign. So we have Active Campaign, and we'll scroll down from there. Let's see. Let's see, there we go. So I have my account's already created. Cool. And we'll go on into here. Oops. Okay, cool. Just making sure it's created. Okay, so I'm gonna go back up to the top. I'm gonna go ahead and make a Zap. Bam. All right, so when you go ahead and make a Zap, it's gonna come up with this new little area where you download your left-hand side of the screen. It's asking you for the trigger, like we already discussed. You guys are now experts at that. It's like, if this happens, and then action is, then do this. So here are all my apps that I have connected so far. So I'm gonna go ahead and say, all right, cool. So if something happens in Active Campaign, which is my CRM system, and it's giving me all these different options. So it's saying a new contacts updated, we have new campaigns, we have a new deal task, we have all these different options here. So let's just say that a new contact is updated. And then from there, I click on Save and Continue. And then from there, I'm moving on down the track, and it's just taking me down the left-hand side. Really easy to set up, right? So it's basically now saying, which account do I want this particular trigger to be happening in? Now I have 3 actual Active Campaign accounts that I've already synced in here, so I can just choose one of those. So I'll go ahead and choose this one, or I can connect a new account on the fly. Save and Continue. And then from there, it's going to say, okay, cool. So which list are we talking about here? So I then am going to go ahead. It's going to pull up all my different lists that I have inside of this particular Active Campaign account. Obviously, this is going to look different, guys, based on that particular app that you're using as the trigger. So if you're using Calendly, it's going to ask you, it's going to display different sorts of options in here because it's specific to the app that you're using. So let's say that they go into this particular list, the Power of Yes ebook, and then I'm going to click on Continue. It's going to walk me still down the left-hand side, and it's just going to say, cool, we're just going to double check this for you, make sure it's all working. So you go Fetch and Continue. And then, yep, test is successful, and then continue. So at this point, it's just making sure that it's able to communicate with your different platforms from there. So then from there, it's now saying, okay, cool. So choose another app that you want to have happen, something to have happen here. So from there, I can basically choose any of my apps that I already have hooked up, or I can go down to new popular apps from there, and I can make something happen. So let's say an update has happened inside of my Active Campaign list. I can say, cool, now I'm going to send a message out to my team via Slack, for example. I want to send a channel message, a direct message to somebody on the team, add a reminder. So let's say you have somebody books in your lead magnet comes into your Active Campaign list, and then suddenly they're now being sent a reminder. A certain team member, maybe a sales team person, on your team is being sent a reminder that this person's now come into your list. So see how powerful this is? You can do so many amazing things. So then from there, I could go ahead and click on Add Reminder, and then Save and Continue. And now it's going to make me connect one of my Slack accounts. So go ahead and do that. It's going to walk me through exactly how to do that. And then I would continue down the path. And at that point, it's going to walk me right down to the end and say, everything's done, good to go. Let's do final test. And then you can turn your Zap live here in the right-hand side. So I'm going to double check in with you guys really quickly just to make sure that we're all good in our chat. Everything looks to be all right. Perfect. All right, brilliant. Heading back in. Here we go. So it's as easy as that. I'm going to go back into the dashboard, and I'm going to show you some Zaps I already have going on in here. So if we're looking down into this particular one, so this is WooCommerce going into Active Campaign, you can see it's on. I can click on that. And it's then again showing me what's happening down the left-hand side. So if I want to be refreshed and go, what's actually going on here? I can go in here and actually go through the steps again, and it'll show me exactly what's happening. So I have a subscription that's created for a membership site. And then I can go down and see that, okay, when that happens, I can see that they're actually now added into specific list here inside of my active campaign down in this area. So, and all these fields come across as well. So extraordinarily powerful stuff. Absolutely love it. And what I'm going to do now is move on into, let's see, what we'll do, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I know, Kat, you might be having some audio issues. So all good with that. I can continue talking while you perhaps work that out. I have my slides as well, so we'll absolutely make it work for you guys. You know, it's always fun doing live. You always have little techie weird things that raise their ugly head. So do you guys have any questions on that before I move on? Do you have any questions about just the easy nature of Zapier and how you use that? Just pop them in the chat on the right-hand side. Cool, all good? All right, brilliant. All right, so I'm gonna come on back in here. We're gonna stop sharing my screen. Yes, you guys, thank you for your feedback. Brilliant. Okay, brilliant. Thanks, Emma. All right, so what I want to start to end up with here, and Kat, I'm desperately trying to get you back in, just so you know, but it's not looking like I am able to. It's not giving me the permissions to do that for whatever reason. So looking at the screen now, what I want you guys to really have as a key takeaway from this session is this. Number one, don't rush into software subscriptions. Now, just because you've seen the potential and you see that Zaps work with anything, don't just go out there and load up on software subscriptions. You definitely want to do your research so that you can choose apps that sync and work for you. So right around now, you'd want to be looking at your wish list. So really, if you already have tools in your business and you're happy with those, go to Zapier, go ahead and do a search there to see if those particular apps are supported in that platform. And then if they already are and you're happy with the tools that you're using, then bam, that's great. So you already can use that as a setup and create these apps. If you're not, number one, if you're not happy with your software, now would be the time to look perhaps for other solutions. And you could just start in Zapier and have a look in there for potential Zaps that you can create. And that might help you make some decisions around the software that you could be purchasing or using in your business. Number two, be creative. The sky is the limit, as we have discussed throughout the last 40 minutes or so. Truly, really, anything that you can dream of, you can do. So whether that's automating your content, like we discussed before, whether that's, doing social media posting and automating your blog post to social, whether that's hooking up your zero proposals and alerting your team, the sky is absolutely the limit. The next step in this is number three, always test, and test every once in a while as well. If you're using something like Zapier or one of these other platforms, like if IFTTT, then you definitely want to make sure that you've tested this yourself. So like what I've done in the past when I use the e-commerce side of things, I'll actually go and purchase with real money and make sure that I end up as the client in the right email list, or I get the right SMS or whatever automation that you're going to do and set up. Consider API integrations where these tools don't assist. So like we said before, if you have a very special setup, like I know a company that they do mortgages, they're a mortgage broker, and they really had to do some custom API to make their different platforms talk to each other. And then sit back and relax as your automation does all the hard work. Kat, did you have anything you wanted to add on?
No,
on
I think you've done a fantastic job of it. I think there is a couple of other questions in the live chat that I'm sorry, I'm not sure if you tackled, Heather. You might have while I was just trying to get back onto the presentation. Emma has asked, we're up to question time anyway, guys, but Emma has asked that she wants to create a Zap from HubSpot with an SMS burst to advise clients when a job has moved to the next stage of the process. How much do you go about that, Heather?
So what you would do is you would go in and create a Zap by clicking on that Create Zap orange button. And then you would start by using HubSpot as your initial trigger. That's right? It was a trigger coming from HubSpot, I think you were saying. Just looking, Zap from HubSpot. Yeah, cool. To zap HubSpot with SMS burst to advise clients when a job has moved to the next stage. So am I interpreting that right? That you want your HubSpot to then so something happens in HubSpot where there's an update, and then you have a SMS go out to the client. That's how I interpret that. So what you would do is you set up the Zap. The trigger would be program HubSpot. And then when you connect your HubSpot account, you'll have different options in there, which will say what you can do as part of HubSpot. So for example, if that particular client, their client record has been updated, then you can send out an SMS. So you say, if the client record's been updated, then it'll sort of say, how do you mean? And then you'll say, well, with the tag or whatever different options that they're going to be updated so the job's done. And then the action would be a burst SMS. So once you move on from the trigger, with the client record being updated, you would then go to the action, and the action you would choose would be a burst SMS as the program or the app. You'd connect that to your burst SMS account, and then you would say, what I want to have happen is an SMS then to go out to that person whose client's record has been updated in HubSpot. So cool. That's essentially how you do it.
Chantel has also asked about whether you can review Google Docs. So in this particular scenario, she's recently put policies into Google Drive Docs, and she wants to kind of set an automatic reminder, say in Calendar or something like that, that document needs to be reviewed in 12 months' time.
So you'd sync up a Google Calendar that you use or your team uses, and you'd basically would set it up to put an appointment into your calendar based on a particular, trigger that you set up. So if something's updated, say as in your Google Drive, if it's updated, then you can create an appointment to then fire away in a Google Calendar.
Great question from Therese. She's asked whether there is a Zap from Excel to MailChimp. Now, I know you could definitely go from a Google spreadsheet to MailChimp.
Yes.
But Excel is typically not online. So what would you suggest there, Heather?
Exactly that. So looking at a Google spreadsheet, which is just essentially Excel on Google, and look at doing the Zap from there. But yeah, since Excel, if you use it offline as just a Microsoft program on your machine, which is not actually in the cloud, then it would not be able to talk to
so that's a really
Zapier.
good point, and probably something that we haven't specifically covered off. All these applications or platforms like Zapier basically work with online tools. So Google Spreadsheets would work because it's typically an online tool. But Therese, if you missed it, there was an early webinar we did. It might have been kind of level 3 or 4, and there would be a recording that would be available to you as well. And it talks about online collaboration tools, etc. And in that particular webinar, we do talk a lot about the benefits of using something like Google Docs or Office 365 as a cloud-based solution. Really, really cool, where you need to collaborate on documents with, numerous people, and it resolves the issue of having different versions of the one file because it's a live document.
Yeah, and Zapier does work with OneDrive, which I think you just said as well. It is on OneDrive, perhaps. So I do know that it works with OneDrive, and you're on Office 365. Yeah. So those are all cloud-based. So in that case, yeah.
Cool. Just checking through chat. Are there any other questions, guys? Keep them coming in. We've got a couple of other slides to cover. I might get you to skip ahead if that's okay, Heather, and we'll just keep an eye on the chat to see if any other questions do come in. But just a reminder to everyone, if you are a full program participant on the Level Up program, which I'll cover off the difference there in a moment, don't forget you have got access to mentors. So to take advantage of mentors, I think we're level 8 out of 12 levels. So there's sort of another 4 or so weeks or four or so levels left to go. But jump into the portal at levelup.sunshinecoast.gov.au, and you can actually request a session with a mentor there through the portal. So that's totally free to you as a member. There's some amazing mentors that you've got access to. So take full advantage and, tap into their expertise. I might get you to skip along if that's okay. Don't forget too, for full program members, you've also got the Facebook support group. So again, this is a really fantastic resource because all the businesses that participate in our full program are in the group. And I love some of the conversations that happen in there that, you know, someone might post a question, or they might post, you know, that they've just implemented something from one of the webinars, and the support from other businesses is fantastic. So if there's not, you know, necessarily an answer coming from a mentor or an ambassador or a trainer immediately, sometimes it's actually other businesses that are jumping in with that info. So that's pretty cool as well. If we could just go over to the next one. So the next webinar we've got is on the 18th of July, which is online customer experiences. I should also mention too that workshop 3, so workshop 3 covers a number of different topics. It covers, I think, 6, 7, 8 and 9. That's on the 13th of July on the Sunshine Coast there. So keep in mind, pop that in your diary. All the events are on the website, so if you want to see what's coming up, jump on there. I should mention too, if you're not a full program participant, the webinars are free. So these are totally free to jump on and listen to. The advantages of being a full program participant is that you can actually go along to those workshops, which you know, much more kind of DIY. You can take your laptop and sort of implement some of this stuff as you go through. And you can take, I think, 4 extra colleagues or team members from your team along to those as well at absolutely no charge. So the free half-day workshop available to you if you're a full program participant. I might just get you to jump along to the next, if that's okay. Yeah, so workshop 3 coming up on the 13th of July. And sorry, the next one there as well. So for more information, if you're wanting to learn more about the full program or upcoming events, levelup.sunshinecoast.queensland.gov.au. Sorry, I think I left the Queensland out a moment ago. And finally, if we can jump over to the last slide, you know, these are all some of the amazing businesses that are supporting the program or are program partners. So a lot of these are also sort of local businesses on the Sunshine Coast, but thanks to these guys as well. So that concludes our webinar for this evening. I'm just jumping over to chat to make sure there was no last minute questions. I think that's it, everyone. So thank you so much for joining us. Apologies for the technical mishap tonight. I guess that's live events, and we try and navigate our way through as much as possible. We still love technology. They still enables us to do very cool stuff. Heather, I'd just like to personally thank you so much for letting us tap into your expertise, and yeah, absolutely loved geeking out with you tonight.
It's been an absolute pleasure. I wish we could carry on for another hour, but we'll be respectful and let everyone go.
It was normally at least 6 minutes over, so great timing tonight.
Thank you so much. Thanks everyone.
Thanks guys. The recording will be online hopefully within the next 24 hours. See you all next time. Bye.
Bye guys.